Another building of the Guyana Police Force was set ablaze. Cause of the fire is still unknown. Ministry of Health begins administering the COVID-19 booster shots today. Teens went illegal Christmas shopping after hours at courts in New Amsterdam. In the region, Haiti kidnappers released 2 missionaries among 17 abducted, and internationally, border crisis. Poland calls on Belarus to stop sending migrants. Greetings and welcome to another edition of Channel 2 Headline News Update. I am Bibi Bacchus. Thank you for joining us. The Guyana Fire Service is investigating the circumstances of a fire in a building at the Guyana Police Force Iveri headquarters compound in Kingston on Saturday, November 20th. According to reports, the fire started around 1:30 p.m. at the office of the Police Professionals Responsibility Building, upper flat, on the western side of the building in an area that is used as the living quarters for ranks of the Guyana Police Force. Due to the age and combustibility of the structure and its contents, the fire quickly spread to other parts of the building. The fire also spread to the Director of Public Prosecution's office, housed in the same compound. However, the Guyana Fire Service was able to get the fire under control and save that building. Minister of Home Affairs Rubinson Ben said not much was saved in the OPR building, and the fire would put the OPR and the DPP operations in disarray.
It appears that a subliminal message is being put around the areas, the country, starting from some pyrotechnic-minded person in the United States, and that maybe, perhaps much more than likely, that the incidents we see and the timings at which they occur are related to those more than subliminal message about Georgetown will burn if the PPP don't do whatever. But we will stand firm here. We will stand firm. We'll make sure the work of our government, and through that, the development of our country proceeds.
The Guyana Fire Service and the Guyana Police Force are conducting investigations to determine the cause of the fire. This fire comes less than 2 months after Breakdown Police Station was completely destroyed by fire. Furniture giant Courts New Amsterdam branch, located at Ann Street, New Amsterdam, BELARUS, was broken into on Saturday, November 20th. Enquiries disclosed that the establishment was closed around 9 p.m. on the said night. However, around 5:55 a.m., the assistant manager related that she received information from mail that the door of the building was open. On arrival at the location, she observed the door on the northwestern side of the building open. Checks revealed that one motorcycle, along with several electrical appliances of an undisclosed value, were missing. Acting on information received, a party of policemen went to the home of a 15-year-old juvenile. He was contacted and told of the information received. He related to the police that he and his 18-year-old cousin went into the court's building and stole the items. The articles were discovered in a clump of bushes at Strand and Charles Place, New Amsterdam, BELARUS. Further information led ranks to a hut occupied by a 42-year-old woman. A search unearthed more electrical goods stolen from the furniture store. All the items recovered were taken to the Central Police Station along with the suspects. The items recovered were positively identified by the manager of Courts New Amsterdam branch to be the property of Courts. The suspects remain in custody pending further investigations. The Ministry of Health has begun administering the COVID-19 booster shot vaccines today at any of the 100 vaccination sites across the country. Minister of Health Dr. Frank Anthony announced.
From today, we have made booster doses available to anyone who is age 50 and above. So that's by age. So anybody who is 50 years and above and would have received their 2-dose regimen, they are now entitled to get a booster. Once after the second dose would have been about 6 months or so. So that is now available. Plus, if you have any comorbidities, if you're older than 18 and you have any comorbidities, then you can also get access to a booster shot. The other category of persons, if you're a healthcare worker or you have additional risk of getting COVID because of your job, then we can give you a booster shot as well once you're 18 years and above. So to begin with, we have these 3 categories: 50 years and older, It doesn't matter whether you have or you don't have comorbidities. If you would like to get a booster shot, it's available for you. 18 years and older, if you have any comorbidities, then you can get the shot. And all healthcare workers who are 18 years and older can get access to a booster dose.
The minister went on to explain the recommended booster shots that are available at the sites.
In terms of the vaccines that we have administered in Guyana, we have done Pfizer. We have done a limited amount, less than 1,000 doses of Moderna. We did AstraZeneca, we did J&J, we did Sputnik V, and we had Sinopharm. So when we look at the spectrum of vaccines that we give, if you got 2 doses of Pfizer, then we're recommending that if you're doing a booster, that you get a Pfizer as your booster. If you had Moderna and Moderna, you can either do another Moderna as your booster, but right now we don't have that. But there's nothing wrong if you want to get a Pfizer as your booster. With Johnson & Johnson, if you took a Johnson & Johnson vaccine, then after 52 days after, you can get a booster. With Sinopharm, if you had 2 doses of Sinopharm, then your booster should be a Sinopharm vaccine taken 3 to 6 months after your second dose. If you did AstraZeneca, so you had 2 doses of AstraZeneca, then your third dose, you can either opt to get AstraZeneca again, or you can use an mRNA vaccine, which would be Pfizer. So 6 months after your second dose of AstraZeneca, you can get mRNA or a Pfizer vaccine to complement your AstraZeneca. If you took Sputnik V and you completed both doses, then you can take a J&J vaccine, and that would complement the series. So you can use the J&J as a booster. So this is the regimen that we'll be using. So anyone who want to get their booster can come to any one of our facilities and ask for the booster. We'll require you to bring your vaccination card so that they can write the dosage into the card.
To date, 77.2% of the adult population received the first dose of the COVID vaccine, while 52.6% received both doses. In the 12 to 17 age group, 39.4% received the first dose, while 27.3% received both doses. Stick around after the break. Dozens of migrants, including children, may have entered Guyana's territory in terrible health without food from Venezuela, and Guyana observes a World Day of Remembrance for road traffic victims.
When you need money and you gotta get it fast, Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop is the place for that confidential transaction in a quiet and secure location. You'll get the highest value per pennyweight for your gold and also enjoy the lowest interest rates and longest payback period too. Yes, for that instant transaction to solve a pressing financial problem. That Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, 46 Boyle Place, that's between the Ministry of Housing on Brick Dam and White Castle Fish Shop. Be your first and only choice. Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, safe and sound, solid and secure, always there for you. Telephone 231-7878 and 223-8955.
For decades, milk has remained the same. Until now. Introducing the Great Dairy Full Cream Milk from Alabama Trading. Enriched with vitamins A to D and calcium to promote healthy teeth, strong bones, and vitality. Great Dairy Milk is delicious and fortified to encourage healthy cell growth within the body. No wonder it's the #1 brand of milk produced in Ireland. Now available nationwide in 400-gram packages at leading supermarkets and wholesale vendors. Distributed by Alabama Trading.
Furnishing your home or office has never been easier. Here at Kissoon's, our inventory of locally made and imported furniture, offered at amazing prices, will leave you wanting more. From vinyl, floor rugs and carpets, bedroom, dining and living room sets, mattresses, pillows, office desk, chairs and filing cabinets, outdoor benches and tables. We have a piece of furniture for every room imaginable in your home or office. Check out our flagship store at Industrial Site Rijnveld or one of our branches in New Amsterdam, Port Morant, Riverton and Camp Street. Kissoon's Furniture, furnishing homes for over 50 years.
At John Lewis Styles, we carry only first quality men's and women's clothing, footwear, and accessories. As authorized dealers, our items come directly from the manufacturing brands and are available in all sizes and colors. What we sell was never on display in another store. It's time you know the truth about what you buy. Come visit us on Waterloo Street. John Lewis Styles. Simply different.
Welcome back. On Saturday, a ministerial team of central responders traveled to Port Kaituma north of this district after becoming aware that dozens of Amerindians, including children, may have entered Guyana's territory from a neighboring village in Venezuela in poor health and without food. Dr. Frank Anthony, Minister of Health, was also a member of the outreach team.
There is a set of migrants that came from Venezuela, and they have set up a temporary settlement at Arnabisi, which is about 15 minutes away from Port Kaituma. And they've set this settlement up on the banks of the Port Kaituma River. And they have, at the time when we went there, probably saw about 50 children and a number of families that were all congested in this area.
Minister Anthony said some of the children were chronically malnourished. Most of the children affected health-wise were treated at the location. However, 4 of the children were transferred to the Port Kaituma Hospital for treatment.
At the time, while the reports were that there was severe malnutrition, what we found was that some of the children were chronically malnourished. I'm not too sure whether they have had prior medical attention like things like vaccination and so forth. We also discovered that some of the children, they had severe skin rashes. Some of them had like upper respiratory infections, and quite a few of them had diarrheal diseases. Nothing as severe, but among these 50 children that we saw, 4 of them had some critical illness. Well, not critical, but we felt they were sick enough that for us to manage them properly, it would have been important to bring them to the hospital. So on Saturday, we brought 4 of those children to the Port Kaituma Hospital, where they're receiving additional treatment.
About 40 adults in the area were tested positive for malaria. All 25 families were given food and medical supplies by the outreach team. Several government agencies in the region have already responded with emergency interventions, providing immediate medical and food relief. Minister Anthony said the government continues to monitor the migrant situation stemming from the economic and social instability in neighboring Venezuela, with the active support of local stakeholders and other international partners. He also noted that systems are now in place for Venezuelan nationals to access medical services at the Port Kaituma Hospital. The Ministry of Home Affairs, in collaboration with the National Road Safety Council and the Guyana Police Force Traffic Department, hosted the World Day of Remembrance for Road Traffic Victims. The event is observed every year on the 3rd Sunday in November to honor victims of road traffic accidents and their families. According to the World Health Organization, over 1.3 million persons die each year in fatal road traffic accidents. Between 20 and 50 million more suffer non-fatal injuries, with many becoming disabled, making it the leading killer of children and young people worldwide. Also attending the event was the Minister of Health, Dr. Frank Anthony, and the Mothers in Black. The event began with a public awareness campaign starting at Turkine and ending at the Providence National Stadium.
It is an important occasion because it is traumatic for the victims' relatives, and this is being done to show them that the victims are not forgotten, they also are not forgotten, and that we are standing with them.
Minister Ben advised motorists to be extra cautious on the road. He underlined the necessity of other drivers noticing and reporting signs of unsafe driving before it results in road fatalities. He also voiced concerns about influential individuals intervening in the criminal justice system unnecessarily.
That even when we think we might have influence, it might be our friend, it might be somebody in authorities, and all of those things, that we too are accountable under the laws, and that we should not unnecessarily intervene in issues which would bring the entire system, the entire culture, the carrying out of our task to reduce the impacts of road deaths, road accidents. We should not interfere in ways which would bring things and ourselves into disrepute. This is very important. The integrity of the system relies on the integrity of the persons doing the work. The more important thing is to catch beforehand the warning signs, the indiscretions, the bad behavior, the bad practices which lead us to points where we have accidents. And serious accidents which result in serious injury and loss of life.
Minister Ben emphasized the government's commitment to reducing road fatalities in the coming years. Guyana has had a 32% decline in traffic accidents and deaths as of September 29, 2021, with 69 incidents resulting in 74 fatalities. The United Nations General Assembly passed a resolution titled Improving Global Road Safety, which established the Decade of Action for Road Safety 2021 to 2030, with the lofty goal of preventing at least 50% of all road traffic deaths and injuries by 2030. Don't go away after the break. Skeptical opposition participating in Venezuela's regional polls, and South Sudan fish thriving after floods devastated food supplies. But before that, here's the bridge retraction schedule.
Smart Minds Educational Institute, offering preschool, nursery, and primary levels. Finally, a school that is every parent's dream. Located at 69 Crow Street, offering academic excellence, trained qualified teachers, small class sizes, personalized care, and one-to-one attention for your little ones. At Smart Minds, register for full-time or evening classes, daily practice pass exam papers for proficiency at the grade 2, 4, and 6 assessment, and CXE exam preparedness. Or join our Beccaphonics reading and writing program. So if your child is for preschool, nursery, or primary level, come to Smart Mind, located at 69 Street, or call 231-4885 or 600-9229 to enroll now.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny? I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again. Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Survival Shopping Complex brings to you its delivery service, Shop through WhatsApp. This process is simple. All you need to do is call or message your grocery list to 613-9683 and we will select your items for you and have them delivered directly to you, even out of town. This is convenient because we can stay on the phone with you as we select your favorite brands. We're happy to do your shopping for you. Contact us on WhatsApp today and shop price smart at Survival Shopping Complex.
Kingdom-based taxi service, transportation for every occasion. Short drop, airport, weddings, funerals, and much more. We're located at Lot H. Durbin and Vicingen Road, next to Green City Bar. For honest, efficient, and reliable service, call Kingdom-based taxi service at 648-5959 or 227-7937. You can count on us.
Welcome back. Now we take a look at news in the region and around the world. 2 people among a group of 17 US and Canadian missionaries kidnapped by an armed gang in Haiti last month have been released, aid officials said. Christian Aid missionaries said on Sunday that the 2 individuals were safe, in good spirits, and being cared for. The abduction of the missionaries and their family members, including children, was reported on October 16th. They were returning from a visit to an orphanage when the bus they were traveling in was seized by gang members. All of those abducted at the time, 5 men, 7 women, and 5 children, are US citizens, except one who is a Canadian national. The gang reported to be behind the kidnappings, which goes by the name of 400 Mazuo, later demanded a ransom of $1 million each for the 17 persons being held. In April, the gang abducted a group of Catholic clergy who were later released. It is not clear if a ransom was paid. Haiti has one of the highest rates of kidnappings in the world, as powerful gangs exploit a lawless situation to make money from ransom payments. Meanwhile, in Venezuela, opposition parties are competing in elections for the first time since 2017. They are hoping to make gains against President Nicolas Maduro's Socialist Party. Al Jazeera's Teresa Bow reports.
For the first time in almost 4 years, the Venezuelan opposition is back in an electoral race. Voters are heading to the polls on Sunday to pick local councils, mayors and governors across the country. David Uzcategui is running for the governorship of the state of Miranda. He says this is an opportunity for the opposition to gain strength against President Nicolás Maduro.
We have made a titanic effort to guarantee that in each voting table there are at least 3 witnesses, a principal and 2 replacements. There are people in logistics, in transport, people that are working to guarantee that we have a chance.
But the opposition is divided, and while some have supported the call to participate in the elections, others, like Juan Guaidó, who have challenged President Nicolás Maduro in the past, have remained silent.
The main opposition has boycotted presidential and legislative elections in the past over allegations of lack of free and fair polls. But they agreed to participate on Sunday's vote after they were given reassurances by the government. The internal divisions could certainly damage their chances of winning in many parts of the country, something that the ruling Socialist Party could certainly take advantage of.
José Manuel Olivares is running for the governorship of La Guaira. He returned recently after being forced to leave the country for 3 years. He says he was a victim of political persecution by the government of Nicolás Maduro.
I've never been chief of the opposition, but I'm part of it. People deserve we acknowledge our mistakes. I recognize that and say sorry. I also say, please don't ask me to stop fighting to change the country for my son's future, for a country that's not what Venezuela's become.
For the first time in 15 years, the European Union has sent a mission to observe the electoral process. Over 100 observers deployed across the country will be evaluating the candidates' freedom of expression as they campaign, the voting process, and other issues considered important to guarantee the impartiality of the vote. Isabel Santos is a member of the European Union Parliament.
One administrative memorandum where we have there inscribed conditions of full freedom of movement and freedom of expression for this mission. Only in these conditions we could be here. We need to listen everybody. This is the first condition, plurality. Listen everybody. And in the end, we have our conclusions and we will have our recommendations.
For years, the opposition has been demanding free and fair elections in Venezuela as a way out of the country's enormous economic and social crisis, exacerbated by tough US sanctions. For many, this is a major test and a chance for the opposition to finally gain ground against a leader many blame for the problems they face. Teresa Bo, Al Jazeera, Caracas.
Internationally, while flooding has destroyed or blocked access to many food supplies in South Sudan, one food source that is thriving is fish. The essential protein is now widely available as people who lost farmlands and harvest from the floods try to adapt. Al Jazeera's Huru Matassa reports.
Paul Nyak says he hasn't seen floods this bad since the 1960s when he was a boy. Floodwaters have destroyed crops, blocked access to fields, and reduced grazing land. The 56-year-old says at least there is an upside to the devastation. More water than usual means plenty more fish is available.
It's good for us. Sometimes United Nations takes long to bring us food. This way, we can survive until they can reach families cut off by the water.
Much of this agricultural land is now underwater. For the third consecutive year, floodwaters have risen as excess water flows down the Nile from neighboring countries. But families can't survive on just fish. Malnutrition rates are increasing as flooding affects food supplies.
All animals that we depend on, they are dying because of the flood. All our houses, they are under the water in the town, and this is very difficult. Also, we get the disease through the flood.
Communities used to grow sorghum, a cereal that is easy to cultivate. But there has been no farming here for more than 2 years. Humanitarian aid has also been affected.
This used to be our food distribution point, where we were distributing food to over 27,000 people here in Old Fangak with the support from the World Food Programme. But now, because of the flooding, we are now unable to utilize this location.
Some desperate families collect water lilies to supplement their diet. The dried flowers from the lilies are ground into small amounts of cereal. It's not nutritious, but there aren't many options out here. fish is an essential source of protein when there isn't much else available. South Sudan is no stranger to floods, but they're now becoming more frequent. Too much water, COVID-19, poverty and conflict make the situation here dire. People say they'll have to find ways to adapt. Preserving their catch is one way to keep food longer. In fact, small-scale industries of sun-drying the fish have boomed because of the floods. But everywhere they look, people are reminded the situation here could get worse. Water levels are not receding fast enough. Barriers can only do so much to keep the rising water at bay. Harun Matasa, Al Jazeera, Jonglei State, South Sudan.
And finally, the Polish Prime Minister toured Baltic states to drum out European support in the border crisis. He has been calling the Belarusian government's actions the biggest threat to European stability in 30 years. The situation for migrants is getting increasingly desperate. Al Jazeera's Jonah Hall reports.
Not much is known about 37-year-old Mustafa al-Rahimi or how he came to be buried in the corner of a Muslim graveyard in eastern Poland. Except that he came from Yemen, a husband and father of two who froze to death on European soil. Poland didn't start this crisis, in which Belarus has encouraged thousands to break into the European Union, but activists say it has made things worse.
Basically, not helping people who are dying in the forest is always wrong. So yes, we believe that our government should at least let us, non-governmental organizations, do our job.
In a border town, a protest against the government's failure to help asylum seekers, especially women and children. And inside the secure zone, off limits to journalists and NGOs, new laws allow border guards to disregard asylum claims and push back those who make it across in breach of international law. So a person who crosses the border and specifically asks for asylum, which is their right under international law, can legally under Polish law be refused. I'm speaking to the spokesperson for Poland's Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
We don't support the definition you mentioned. We don't consider people who cross illegally the border as a person who can apply for an international help. It means we've got different definition of the international law. Let's say our lawyers think a little different than you.
There can be no more graphic way to illustrate the dangers for people crossing into Poland and the European Union than another funeral. There have been 11 confirmed deaths in this crisis since mid-September, and just a few days ago a mother rescued in the woods said she'd been forced to abandon the body of her one-year-old child. Since the great wave of arrivals in 2015, right-wing governments in Europe have used the rhetoric of conflict, of hybrid warfare, to justify the militarization of borders. These people are stuck on the Belarus side, searching the forest for opportunities to cross. Some of them refugees, others economic migrants, but all are human beings and none are welcome here. Jonah Hull, Al Jazeera, on the Polish border.
And that is it for today's regional and international news. Here now is your 3-day weather forecast. is all for this edition of Channel 2 Headline News Update. Tune in on Tuesday at 7 p.m. for another episode. Be sure to subscribe, like, and follow us on Facebook and YouTube. Until then, please take care of yourself and each other.